give you Ansi Rantanen.
Hello, everybody. It's nice to virtually meet you, and greetings from Stockholm, from this very comfortable, homey environment. I hope all of you are comfortable wherever you're dialing in from. My name is Ansi Rantanen, and I'm the Finland CEO of the Dutch education company called Growth Tribe Academy. What we do, and what I love doing, is we analyze the fastest growing companies in the world, how they do things differently, what kind of processes they have in place, etc. And then we teach those skills and strategies to you. And what I'm going to be talking about today is, what are some of the processes, some of the systems of how these fast-growing companies actually systematize their growth? But just a quick bio about myself. So, as the introduction mentioned, I was never a good student at all. Actually, I was a terrible student, and I was often in the principal's office, and it wasn't because of my, great academic achievements. So it's a bit ironic that I'm now here as the country manager of an education company talking about the importance of continuous learning. But what happened in between was a 3-year stint at Google. So I had just a good enough of a GPA to land me an interview, and somehow I managed to charm myself into the company. And here's a picture of me on the first week on the job, excited about this new journey in this very, very interesting high growth tech company. And one of the things that really made an impression on me at Google was the culture of continuous learning. I mean, it was on an individual level. I was taught behavioral psychology, service design, machine learning, etc., but also on a team level and an organization level through experimentation and being incredibly fast-paced. And that, brought me to where I am today, falling in love with the process of continuous learning. And that's going to be a very relevant thing that we're going to be touching upon today. But my favorite story about learning is a story of a guy called Takeru Kobayashi. Some of you might have heard of him. I think of him as, one of the most undervalued people in recent decades. Because Mr. Takeru, he single-handedly changed and revolutionized the industry in which he operates. And the industry, or the vertical that I'm talking about, or however we want to refer to it, is actually professional hot dog eating. So Takeru Kobayashi took part in this prestigious 2001 Coney Island Hot Dog Eating World Championship competition. And if we think of professional hot dog eaters, this is usually the persona that comes to mind, and not this slim, short Japanese guy that no one's ever heard of. So in 2001, the world record for eating hot dogs was 25 hot dogs in 12 minutes. Then Mr. Takeru comes on stage. He doesn't eat 22 or 24 or 26 hot dogs. He eats 50 hot dogs, 50 hot dogs in 12 minutes. So he literally doubles the previous world record. And my favorite part of this story is how he did that, how he approached this problem of eating hot dogs fast. So it's maybe obvious that Takeru isn't your average guy, right? He was convinced, absolutely convinced, that there must be a better, faster, more scalable way of eating hot dogs. And what he's going to do is he's going to run hundreds of different experiments in order to figure that out. And his first learning was that these nasty American sausages, you eat the quickest when you separate them from the bread, and then two at once you sort of shove them down your throat. And I apologize for anybody having breakfast or lunch or something right now. This isn't the most appetite-awakening part of my presentation, but bear with me for 1 second. And the second tactic that he figured out was the bread, which is usually the enemy of professional eaters. You eat that the quickest when you dip it into the water jug right in front of you, you squeeze it into a little mushy ball, and you just shove that down your throat as well. Again, apologies, not very appetite awakening, but incredibly efficient, as this allowed him to double the previous world record. And here's actual video footage of him participating for the first time. And nobody in the US had heard of him before, but he had an entourage with him from Japan. I think we'll see his proud mother in the audience in a second, looking proudly at her son. And try to see if you can spot the moment when his competitor realizes that he's completely lost the game. Like, who is this guy? What is going on? And maybe more importantly, what's the moral of this story? What can we learn from Takeru Kobayashi? The moral of the story is that if we actually want to grow anything, if we want to reach any kind of target, the best way to do that is through a process of systematic experimentation. Because the more you experiment, the more you learn, right? And the more you learn, the more you can apply those learnings, and the faster you grow. And this is how Silicon Valley companies, for example, systematize their growth. They aim to run tens of thousands of experiments every single year in order to learn as quickly what works and what doesn't work. They try to do this learning process very quickly. That's why we call it rapid experimentation. And they try to be as data-driven in this decision-making process as possible. So if we want to start working in this way, there's really a few elements that come together. I mean, of course, there's this method of experimentation, but we need a different kind of a mindset on an individual level to actually work best in this way. And then there's a few nuances and differences in the way of working that we can utilize to actually capitalize on this opportunity and this way of working. And when these things come together, we really talk about systematic growth. And this experimentation way of working and this mindset and culture really permeates the technology landscape, and it's at the root of their strategy. For example, Mr. Bezos, the richest man on earth, has said in his Amazon shareholder letters that our success at Amazon is a function of how many experiments we do per year, per month, per week, per day. Being wrong might hurt you a bit, but being slow will kill you. Facebook does over 100,000 experiments every single year, which is just an absurd amount of experimentation. But this ensures that they're learning the quickest, they're learning the fastest of how they can drive growth or people to stay on the platform or user acquisition or whatever their target is. So are there any examples of this way of working in a sales context? I mean, we are at the sales conference, and that's probably something that interests you. And one of my favorite stories about this way of working, not in a tech environment, but in a sales environment, actually comes from the Chase Bank in the United States. So the Chase Bank, they give out credit cards, right? They have a lot of, credit cards out on the market. And that, of course, means that there are some people that don't pay back their credit card debt. So Chase has hundreds of employees who are tasked with calling people who have credit card debt and trying to come up with some kind of a payment plan for them to start reducing on that debt. And if we think about what that is, that's a sales role. You're cold calling someone, they're not very excited to talk to you, and somehow you need to persuade them to start, paying back on their debt. And they have hundreds of individuals doing this, but they didn't really see any good performance. Like they tried all kinds of training programs and using new technology, etc. But the numbers didn't really shift at all. But then they noticed that there's one team of 10 people that are outperforming everybody else by a ridiculous margin. So they looked into this team, and this team was led by Charlotte Flood. And they asked her, Charlotte, you guys are outperforming everybody. you're collecting more than $1 million per month more than any of your peers. What's your secret? And she took out a binder, which she had, and she started walking through everything they know about the best time to call different personas. She said that, for example, if you're reaching out to a family, call between 9:30 in the morning and 11 in the morning, because that's when the mother is most likely to be home, and women are more, proactive and want to start reducing on the debt. Or if someone, according to the data, is single, you should call them between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m., because that's when they're most likely at home, alone. So, they want to talk. And if someone calls them, that's a good thing. And she went on like this for ages. She had tons of different tactics that she's learned. And then they asked her, how do you know all this? And she said that with our team, every day at lunch, we try to come up with a lot of different hypotheses about how we could talk to certain personas in different ways and get them, to start paying back. Then we experiment, we test our hypotheses by a process of experimentation. Then we get some data from which we can learn. And then, we go back to the hypothesis building, etc. And 70–80% of these experiments don't work, but as long as they do it systematically and often, the more they learn, the better results they get. And an interesting component of this is that her team's employee satisfaction scores are also through the roof, right? So when we give people the autonomy and the freedom to come up with hypotheses and experiment, they're actually happier. So a really interesting story about experimentation in the sales context. But another good thing and great thing about experimentation is that, technology allows us to do it way easier and way quicker than ever before. And I didn't want to just say that, tell you guys that that's the case. I think we should actually try to demo and show you how easy experimentation can be in this day and age. So let's create the hypothetical scenario. Right? Let's say that we, the 6,000 people on this line, or 7,000, we're the innovation department of the pro sales organization. And we have an idea for a new coaching product that we'll try selling to salespeople. And what we could do is months of market research. We could hire quite a few consultants and try to see whether there's any, demand in the market for this by doing a lot of deep research. Or then we can do it how Silicon Valley companies do it. They create a landing page, a minimum viable product, and they drive people to that page and see if it resonates at all. And that's what we're going to be doing now, or I'm going to be trying to be doing now. We're going to be doing a live demo. We're going to be building a brand, a website, and we're going to install a chatbot on that website in 5 minutes. We're going to try to at least, so we'll see how it goes. Wish me luck. I'm going to give you guys a timer on the screen so that you can see how much time we have left. Let's get into it. Okay. First, we need the logo, right? And for that, we're going to use a tool called Looka. I'm just going to go ahead and create an account. I hope the internet speed is good. What's your logo for? We work in sales. Now we need to pick a few logos that we like, because this is actually an AI-based logo generation tool. Let's go with the grayscale color palette. That's sort of minimal and Nordic, etc. We need a company name. Let's just make something up. Let's say Sales 2.0, right? This is something that we're just going to create on the fly. And now you can see that this has taken 45 seconds. I'm not a graphic designer at all. I'm terrible at graphic design, but there's quite a few logos here that we can use. Some of them look terrible. Some of them look good. So I think this is pretty nice. Let's just grab that. And I'm going to cheat a little bit today because we don't have much time. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a screenshot of this so that we can move forwards quickly. Another screenshot of that. Again, don't do this at home. And now that we have the brand, we need the website. And for that, we're going to be using something called Launchico. Create your website for free. Our startup's name is Sales 2.0. We're going to be building a web app. Let's go with the grayscale color palette again. let's use some modern typography when we want to be a modern company. And let's actually go to Unsplash and download a free image that we can use in the background of our header to make it look very nice and professional. Let's see here. Okay, headline, join the future of sales coaching today. Let's upload that image. That logo that we had, that picture is actually too big, so we need to get another one. Ooh, definitely running out of time now. Please try a smaller image. There we go. And hopefully once that's up, please come up quickly. We are going to go to the next page. So that's not add a call to action because we're going to have a chatbot. And now we need a bit of content for our web page. Let's say features. Easy to use coaching. Sales 2.0 is super easy to use. Let's say high quality. That's always good, right? High quality. The coaching track is extremely high quality. Again, we're just making these up as we go. Individualized. Coaching is 100% individualized. Watching out for typos. Now throw in that other logo that we have to make it look nice and professional. And once that's in there, let's move onwards. We need something else. We need a testimonial, as all startups do. Sales 2.0 changed my life, right? Who gave this? Let's go with Pierluigi Collina. I mean, you know, we know that startup testimonials are fake, so we're just gonna take a screenshot of that. Pierluigi Collina, legendary referee, and let's upload his image to, you know, make it look as viable as possible. Great. One more thing that we need a pricing box, right? Simple pricing only for you, my friend. Isn't that what they try to say at all the, you know, cheap travel places? Well, we can test these easily, right? Because we're doing this pretty quickly. Let's say that unlimited coaching monthly, 199 euros. And again, you know, we can test price points pretty easily as, you know, we're creating this on the fly. Easy to use, personalized, high quality. Boom, great. So we have the brand, we have the website. Oh yeah, we still need the chatbot. So for the chatbot, we're going to be using Collect Chat because Collect Chat actually have a lot of ready-made templates that we can use. So I'm just going to go ahead and log in, look at the design. What does the script look like? Hello, would you be interested in signing up for a beta? Great, we're just going to grab that. We need to copy that piece of code, go into the website settings, paste it in there. Okay, 10 seconds left. We should have everything. Publish, change the URL. Let's say it's sales2.launchgo.com. Publish, and whew, that was a pretty intense 5 minutes. Let's see if this actually works. So this is live right now. You can go to this website. We have a logo. Let's see if the chatbot works. Hello, would you be interested in signing up for a beta? Of course, you know, this looks great. Pierluigi loves it. Fantastic. What's your email address, etc. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was a brand, a website, and a chatbot in 5 minutes. And this way, we can actually start testing different value propositions, start testing different price tiers, etc., in the span of 5 minutes and not in months. And this is the technological landscape that we live in these days. I mean, rapid experimentation has never been easier than before, as I just showed you. So I really recommend playing with tools, testing things out, and trying to find, you know, the tools that can help you guys learn as quickly as possible. Whew, got a bit hot up here. But in order for us to be able to do this, we need a bit of a different kind of a mindset, right? So if we think of, Takeru Kobayashi, what is the mindset that he has? What is his way of approaching problems? So the Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck has been studying very successful people for the past 20 years. And she's noticed that disproportionately, successful people, successful teams have a lot of something which is called the growth mindset. And Carol Dweck has written a book about this, which I think is phenomenal. And I highly, highly recommend that you check it out. But to build on what Stefan was saying, the best way to succeed in the future is by loving the future, by loving uncertainty. And the growth mindset will equip you with this love. So the growth mindset, in short, if I would have to summarize it, is an individual's mindset where people believe that my skills, my knowledge can always be developed. And every single setback, every single failure is just an opportunity to learn. I mean, it took Takeru hundreds of failed experiments in order to figure out what worked and what didn't work. And of course, the quicker we can do the learning loop, the better it is. The same was with, the Chase Bank sales team that was outperforming. Every single failure was an opportunity to learn. So these people really lived and breathed the growth mindset, because what we want to do is learn as much as possible. We do that through testing and experimentation, and failures, again, just opportunities to learn. So Microsoft had a bit of a challenge in 2014 when Satya Nadella became the CEO. He said that Microsoft's culture at this time was permeated by what he called know-it-all-ism. So people at Microsoft think that they know what the customer needs, they know what technology is the best, etc. Not very conducive to learning, right? So he flipped this around. He started working with Carol Dweck and made the growth mindset a central part of the management philosophy and ethos at Microsoft. And Microsoft's valuation in the past 5 or 7 years has over 5x'd. And Mr. Nadella says that, this growth mindset, this learning mindset is really what's been at the heart of their success. Another benefit of the growth mindset is that there are really 3 levels of fragility, and this concept was popularized by Nassim Taleb. Things are either fragile, like this water glass right here. If I throw it, it'll break, so it's by definition fragile. Then there are things which are robust. If we knock them around, nothing changes, like a safe, for example. But then there are things which are anti-fragile, things which benefit from tension. So an example of this is your muscle. If you go to the gym and you work out and you look with a microscope at your muscle tissue, you're actually causing micro tears in your muscle. But because muscle is anti-fragile, it actually benefits from that and makes it stronger. And we can be this as individuals, as teams as well. We can benefit from this pandemic. We can benefit from the turbulence which is in the world, but we need the growth mindset to do that. So one interesting little tidbit that I wanted to add here onto as well. And the final building block is this way of working. If we want our organization to really maximize learning, then there's a few differences in how we should and we need to work. One of my favorite quotes is from Home Depot ex-CEO Frank Blake. You get what you celebrate. And here's a picture of Frank handwriting a letter to one of their customer service agents for doing an excellent job at going above and beyond to make someone's day, very nice. And he would write over 50 of these every single week. So they were celebrating going above and beyond, and that's the behavior that you get. So at our company, for example, we've created this fail board because an inevitable part of trying things out, of experimenting, is failure. And failure, again, is just a proxy for learning. So we have a fail board, and Once we have 10 fails, we have a fail party. And we celebrate the fact that we've been trying things out of the box, we've been learning, we've been failing, etc. We do also have a win board. We don't want to be, cynical. In Finland, at least, we have a tendency towards that. So we have a win board as well to sort of celebrate the failures. And this increases something which is really important. So my employer Google did some research because they wanted to understand what makes the most successful teams at Google so successful. And they looked at this for 4 years, looked at hundreds of teams, and they found that this thing called psychological safety is what correlates the most with team performance. So if you guys want to experiment, if you want to learn, if you want to have a fail board, you need to have psychological safety. And a great book has been written about this by Amy Edmondson, who's a researcher at Harvard. So I really recommend that you check that out. So tying this all together, my key message really is this culture, philosophy, mindset of continuous learning. The more we try things out, the more we experiment, the more we learn. But we need the growth mindset to capitalize on those learnings. And we need psychological safety so that people feel like they can actually say what they think. And with these thoughts, thank you very much. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks.